At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve. It's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, a 70th anniversary surprise, a slew of dining packages also coming for the festivities, a few 70th touches already showing up.
Grand Californian DVC updates, extra food and wine experiences. We talk to Disney author Farrah Rochon and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Welcome to Toad Hall. To ensure a safe and glorious drive in your motor car, remain firmly seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside. Watch your children, and do try to drive more carefully than James and Vern. Ta-ta!
Hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of March 26th, 2025. I'm Teresa Urban.
And I'm Tag Bushman. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show, but this week we'd like to give a special shout out to Megan J. for becoming a supporter, and Derek J., Amanda F., and Kelsey G. for continuing to support. If you would like to help support the show and get ad-free versions of each episode, access to our supporter-only Discord chat, a bunch of cool perks and stuff that you get for becoming a supporter, head on over to dlweekly.net/support and become an official weekly tier.
Now let's get to the news.
Extra, extra! Read all about it! DL Weekly reports from intrepid correspondents Tag and Teresa. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Breaking news!
As we reported on previously, the new song for the 70th anniversary of Disneyland will be called Celebrate Happy. What we just found out this week is that the Jonas Brothers will be performing the song. The song will be on music streaming platforms starting May 13th. So you can get like your party on before the party starts.
This has taken the internet by storm. I feel like this was everywhere. And I've never there's a few songs that the Jonas Brothers or the individual brothers, when they've done their individual things, that I've heard that I'm like, yeah, okay, this is a good song or whatever. But I've never been like a Jonas Brothers groupie, or I don't know what you call them.
Super fan.
Is there like a word there's like Swifties? Is there like a Jonas Brothers?
I don't know if there's or not.
But anyway, so this is cool, right? But I don't know. People are very excited.
Yeah,
for this. I don't think I'm the right generation.
Yeah, Tag and I were talking pre-recording, and I'm like, it's kind of like, the newer, it's in between our big boy band type thing was Hanson, or the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC was kind of like what we were. Jonas Brothers was kind of in the middle of that, and then more recently was One Direction was the boy band exciting thing. Jonas Brothers and Hanson are probably the most similar, since it was a group of brothers performing together. But yeah. So anyways, yes, this makes me feel a little old, because yes, I did not grow up with the Jonas Brothers like a lot of folks did, but they were wildly popular. I'm very excited to see what they do with the song, and this is just something fun and new, because sometimes with these songs, sometimes they'll get names, but other time, big named people. Other times it's maybe folks that you're not as familiar with. So this is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time I can think of a big pop music person.
Well, wasn't there the big deal with Magic Happens? Wasn't that a big deal?
Yeah, but I feel I don't know. I think there's different levels, and to me,
sure.
Jonas Brothers were huge.
Yeah. Well, and they have a history with Disney.
Yeah,
they've been in a bunch of Disney stuff. So I don't know. I'm sure that there's, like I said, lots of people who are really excited and happy about this. I was never a groupie or whatever. But I'm excited to see what this song is and what it sounds like, because with Magic Happens, I know when we heard it, and Wondrous Journeys, I think it was too, when we heard it at D23, we were kind of huh? But then when we heard it in the park, we're this is really catchy. And now I love Magic Happens and Wondrous Journeys. And
so
did they say this was also on Apple Music?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, enjoy that. Oh, huh.
There you go.
I didn't know Magic Happens was on Apple Music.
Now you do.
Huh.
Good song.
I
Great
miss
song.
me some Magic Happens, though.
I
They should
know.
have brought back Magic Happens for the daytime, and then they should have had Paint the Night for nighttime, and we could have had great entertainment for the 70th.
There you go.
There's still hope. Maybe for the
There's
75th.
still hope.
Maybe for the 75th. A new dining package is coming to Disneyland for the 70th. Speaking of Paint the Night, the Paint the Night dining package will be at the Plaza Inn on Main Street. The package is available from May 16th through August 21st from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. daily. It is a lunch dining package, which is $55 per adult and $28 per child. The package includes a lunch and a reserved seat for Paint the Night. Bookings began on March 25th, so move quickly if you're interested in the package, because sometimes these things book up.
Yep. So I'm going to be real. I was real excited about this. And the first thing we saw was I think it was Disney Eats posted this, and it was just photos of what the food was going to be. And the food looked delicious. And then later I saw the actual menu posted, and suddenly my excitement was gone. This is this is not something that speaks to me as much. The full menu has not been released yet because they do say plant-based options available, but they don't, explain what the plant-based options are. But the adult dining package menu is mushroom gravy glazed meatloaf with a baby wedge salad.
Which doesn't work well for you because you have an allergy to mushrooms.
Yes. A pea puree over creamy mashed potatoes, herbed crispy carrots. Those actually look really good. And then there's a Paint the Night themed dessert, and then a choice of fountain beverage. But yeah, the mushroom gravy glazed meatloaf just is not speaking to me for $55.
Yeah, for $55, meatloaf seems like one of those meals or dishes, like main course, that's like the budget option. Like, I feel like meatloaf, like, it has a lot of meat in it, whatever. But, like, I feel like a steak or, like, a fish or, something like that's more elevated, maybe.
Sure.
And so, you're right. Meatloaf is a little strange. For people who have mushroom allergies like yourself, kind of sad.
Well, and I feel like, aside from...
You love a wedge salad, though.
Yes, I do love a wedge salad. But mushrooms, I feel like, are one of those things that people either love them or they hate them.
That's true.
I think it was a bold choice, we'll say. It was a bold choice.
There was some talk in our chat about the pea puree over the mashed potatoes. That was kind of an odd choice.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me as much. Unless you don't like peas. Then that's a little difficult.
Mind peas, but for some reason, like, when they're not in pea form, it seems odd.
Sure.
To me, anyway.
So to kind of compare,
but somebody might think
we were just looking at Fantasmic dining packages for our next trip of the parks. So this is $55, and it's like a pretty fixed menu with some plant-based options. But then you've got participating restaurants for Fantasmic that I don't know. I feel like so Cafe Orleans. $58, and there's a choice, and there's a choice of 6 different things that you can choose off of that menu, and there are 2 of those 6 things are an upcharge because they're a little bit even more elevated than what's there. So I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like it could have been, maybe it's amazing. Who knows? If you go, because dining packages did open today, I did see some folks on social media and in our chats that had snagged their dining reservations. I'm curious. I'm curious what people think of the meal. But then again, dining packages are more about the reserve. Like, to me, the draw to a dining package is the reserved seating. Maybe over I don't do a dining package because of the meal.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
I mean, I do, but
I think it's
of
part
the
of it. But yeah, the real reason I go for a dining package is the reserved seating for whatever it may be.
Do you know where the seating for this is?
My assumption, because this is where it's been for other parade dining packages, is it's in Town Square. Because usually it's like the areas in Town Square roped off, facing like right across the street from the train station.
That's not a bad place necessarily.
That's just where previous ones had been, so that's my assumption.
I was just thinking about, like, would it be in the spot like where they have the VIP seating, which is in the hub, like along the inside of the hub? So I was wondering if you thought it was there, or if it was where we saw Anastasia, like along there somewhere.
Either that, or maybe we did something next to dining packages. Maybe it was, I don't remember if it was fireworks, what it was. It was a nighttime activity, and we were eating at the Plaza Inn. Remember they cut the hedges down so that you had a viewing area? Maybe it was for fireworks.
I think it was for fireworks.
But you could almost be in the seating area of Plaza Inn. I don't know.
Well, they wouldn't do that for the parade because that's too far down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting. And it's a lunch. Like, I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know. They usually do dinners. It's just strange. I don't know. It's different. I'm sure people will love it. It's something different. Why not?
Well, another dining experience will start with the 70th on May 16th. Donald's Tale of Adventure at Storytellers Cafe. This is a dinner buffet from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. and is $62 per adult and $36 per child. The buffet is a, quote, campfire-style barbecue buffet that will feature Donald, Daisy, Clarabelle, Goofy, or Pluto in their new Explorer outfits. Booking has also opened and gone live for this one.
Yeah, so I just want to point out the wording on this. They say, look to pose with Donald, Daisy, Clarabelle, Goofy, or Pluto. So is it Goofy or Pluto? Or is it Donald or Daisy or Clarabelle or like some combination? It's kind of weird wording.
I wonder if they just do that so they're not promising just in case maybe someone's not available. For sure, I feel Donald's going to be there because it is his Tale of Adventure dinner buffet.
And the meal for this, since you listed the meal for the last one, is barbecue. So they got baby back spare ribs, a slow roasted prime rib with creamy horseradish. Finally, they have creamy horseradish for something. Fried chicken, creamed corn, a variety of vegetables and salads, a s'mores bread pudding, sweets and confectionaries, an array of beverages.
This menu is speaking to me.
Okay.
This one is speaking to me.
Are you a barbecue person, or are you just like the prime rib?
There's nothing that you listed that I would not enjoy. So yeah, this menu is speaking to me much more. But this is fun. It's a dinner option character meal.
You're right. We don't usually get dinner.
We don't normally have dinner character things. Well, take that back. Because Goofy's
Kitchen is usually like the breakfast, isn't it?
It's breakfast, and it's brunches, but I guess I don't know. I think they do lunch and dinner as well. But typically, Storytellers for the evenings has been like a World of Color package price. Yes, Goofy's Kitchen does for sure do dinner as well. I just always think of this location as being a morning character dining option. So that's pretty fun that it's also an evening. But yes, this menu is speaking to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like we could have Storytellers 2.0 problems because the first time Tag and I ate at Storytellers, Tag ate way too much and was uncomfortably full for a while after the meal. And I feel like reading this menu, you could easily overdo it on this menu too because yum, yum, yum. Too many good choices.
Interesting. So the dinner buffet does include the characters, but it's interesting because in the description for Storytellers, it says, meet some Disney characters during breakfast and brunch. They don't appear during dinner, but delicious food does. So obviously they need to update that. So, but then I looked at Goofy's Kitchen and it doesn't say, it says breakfast or dinner with friends. So yeah, they probably do it for dinner time too. So interesting. No, we are not in SnackChat yet, but it certainly feels like it because another dining package is coming to Galaxy's Edge and Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo. I think we talked about this before, but now we have some more information.
Back.
The nighttime gathering will feature special takeaway items and a viewing location for the Fire of the Rising Moon's Nighttime Spectacular. Reservations open on April 3rd for this experience.
So the menu, I have not been able to find the menu for this, but the photos of this the culinary team, I think, did such a good job with the presentation of this food because it looks very otherworldly. A lot of the things that you get, of course, in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge looks like not our typical things that we get on this planet. So I just think I have just been so impressed. Don't know what it is quite yet, but it looks delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is either, but they do have that photo linked in the show notes.
There's like a cotton there's a beverage that then has cotton candy kind of floating on top. It looks so cool.
I mean, like all the Galaxy's Edge food does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like
it's got like little desserts.
Yeah, but it's got like the puffs that go on your cold brew. It looks like a little like mini Asian taco thing. Some other,
I don't know, some crunchy round. I'm going to assume like a meatball type
I kind of like
thing.
this tray. And what is this drink?
I know there's the drink, and then there's chips. I don't. There's chips on the side too for whatever.
What do you think
enjoyable.
of this drink?
It looks crazy.
Is that cotton candy
That's
coming
cotton
out the top
candy.
of it?
Yep.
And like it's not boba, but there's like bubbles.
Those are
in
the
it?
ice cubes.
Is that ice cubes?
Yes, those are those like round ice cubes.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, and I don't like that front section there. That's very colorful. Maybe those are cheeses.
That's meat. This is meat. And
Do you think
cheeses.
it's like a little like meat and
Charcuterie.
cheese, like a little charcuterie, docking
But
bay
this middle
version?
thing looks like mashed potatoes. It's a very
It's
I don't know.
It's probably that's probably what the crackers are. Maybe it's not chips, it's crackers.
I don't know. This is
It
a
looks
very
so
confusing,
good though. Like
confusing
doesn't
thing.
it look so weird but also so delicious at the same time?
It does.
It's I'm so curious.
I wonder what it tastes like, and I wonder what all these things are. We'll know soon enough. Because when does this go on? So April 3rd? So we'll know soon.
I think that it just says that reservations open on April 3rd. My guess is this is a limited time offering. It doesn't say when it ends, but I kind of feel like it probably wraps up when the Fire of the Rising Moon and the Skywalker Saga show wrap up, which I think is just part of Season of the Force, isn't it? Or does it happen? Do they have Fire of the Rising Moon every night now?
According to the Disneyland website, it says on select nights.
Sure.
So I don't know, and I thought maybe in here there would be like links. There's nowhere on the site that has anything about dining packages for this.
Yeah. It's not actually on the Disneyland site just yet, but it just says, for a limited time, dining package returns to Galaxy's Edge for a limited time. Reservations open on April 3rd. I kind of feel like this is probably a Season of the Force thing.
It has to be. I don't know. Next week we'll probably have information.
And if you experience it, let us know. But mark your calendars if this is something you're interested in. April 3rd is when you can make your reservation or start making your reservations.
Yes.
Well, the 70th celebration doesn't start for a few more weeks, but there are already signs that it's coming. Some big, some small. There's a small touch on Sleeping Beauty's castle that is part of the upcoming decorations. The flags at the top of some of the spires are now the new Celebrate Happy decor that will adorn the castle for the celebration. The other big thing is merch has already been appearing at various locations throughout the resort. So you can already get your new Spirit jerseys and your lug bags, and I don't know if I've seen ears yet. For sure, t-shirts.
Where have you seen these things?
Let me show you.
Oh, that's like a tie-dye almost.
Isn't
kind
it
of
cool?
crazy thing. Okay.
I like it. So it's merch is showing up at the parks that wasn't already teased.
Ooh, that bag is cool. That lug bag.
The lug bag, yeah.
I like the purple.
T-shirts. I saw some I
Ooh.
think there was some Magic Key specific T-shirts as well.
I think that there's definitely some merch that
I
we'll be
like
purchasing.
that. Did you see that? The tag on the T-shirt even had
Oh,
that it was 70th.
that's a nice
A
little
corksicle mug. Yeah. So stuff is already filtering in, which is kind of wild because we've got some time to go before the official kickoff of the 70th celebration.
Well, you know how these things work.
Yes. Very true.
What do you think about the decorations on Sleeping Beauty Castle? The,
Again,
little flags.
I'm surprised that those are already trickling too, but that's not it's just it's one of those things crazy Disneyland folks like ourselves would notice and know that, hey, wait, that's not the normal colors. Those are the colors for the 70th celebration.
Sure.
But it's not something that park guests
No.
would notice and think felt off. So I think that's something that they can start kind of switching and getting into the new decor early without it really impacting anything.
When do you think we're going to see decor showing up in the park? Because May 16th is when it starts. So you think like the beginning of May?
I would think the beginning of May is when they'll start, but they've got some of those things were big. Remember the week that we were watching the Pixar Fest
Oh, yeah.
thing
How
in
could I
Esplanade?
You were obsessed
grow.
with this thing.
It
You
was-
took so many photos
It
of
was so cool. Every day we happened to be there like a couple of weeks before the kickoff of Pixar Fest, and every day we went to the parks. The big sculpture in the center of the Esplanade would just grow and grow and grow. So you kind of you're like, what are they? You couldn't really figure out what it was or what they were doing. So each day was like, look, there's more. Oh, as soon as you think, oh, surely it's all put together. No, they added more stuff. So it was
And
really
I think
fun.
the new thing that's going to be for the 70th is going to be that kind of vibe too, because it looks that same kind of style. Yeah.
Yep.
Gives me the Tower of the Winds. It gives me that kind of vibe.
There you go.
Well, the updates to the Disney Vacation Club wing at the Grand Californian appears to be pretty different from the previous look. The new color scheme is lighter than before and has some tile accents. Before it was a darker redwood color. I don't know how to feel about this in a weird way.
I'm curious about this. So I will totally admit that I didn't.
Pay attention to this.
No, I'm going to say, so like, think of the Disneyland Hotel and the new Villas Tower. It has a different look. That tower looks different than the rest.
It does, yep.
I never noticed that there was a different appearance to the DVC portion of Grand Californian, to the point that I couldn't have told you, like, if I was looking at it, where it was. Whereas, like, if you're looking at the Disneyland Hotel, you can very obviously say, oh, that's the DVC tower. I feel like they're doing that in Walt Disney World too. The DVC,
To point them out.
yeah, towers are, they're differentiating them. Whether, same thing with even the room decor inside. I don't know enough about the Grand Californian and their DVC rooms, but it is interesting that they're updating the exterior to look different and feel, I don't know, more special, just feel different than the rest of it. And so I'm wondering I don't know. We'll have to ask some of our DVC friends. Are the DVC rooms, do they have a different decor and feeling than the rest of the rooms do? Is it just a different layout and same decor? I don't know.
My concern with this is, does this go with the arts and crafts style of the rest of the hotel?
Oh, sure. I feel like it will. I'm curious, but I feel like it will.
Who knows? It may not look like this at all when they're done. This could just be something that they're halfway through.
Well, and it could just be like, maybe it's only like the bottom section has that nope, that one is going further up. I lied.
You're like, immediately I've changed my answer.
Nope, changed my answer. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it could be that's what it looks like now. Maybe there's just a primer on it and it's going to end up being and looking a different color later. Who knows? I'm curious though. I'm also curious, like, folks that are DVC members, what are your feelings when they're making changes to the DVC specific areas? Are they always positive, or do you maybe think, not so much, don't like that, or not necessary?
I watched a interesting review on YouTube of the staying at the Grand Floridian after they did their renovations.
Oh.
And he kind of didn't give it a very good review. This is the same guy that did the review of The Wish that thought that there was weird stuff going on. So he's been doing, I don't know, something happened. He created a second channel for just like his travel reviews of things, and he's been pumping out a ton of those lately. And so I've watched a few of them because I'm like, oh, what does he think about this? What does he think about that? And he did not like the Grand Floridian changes because it doesn't look... They've kind of gone in the style of it doesn't look Victorian and like in theme anymore in the rooms. It kind of just looks like any room almost anywhere.
Is he talking about the new Mary Poppins theming within the rooms?
I don't think his room had that much in the way of that theming. And then he was really upset that we have actually been there. In fact, I think it opened shortly before we went there, was that bar that we went to where we had the pommes frites.
Oh, yeah.
He was like livid that thing existed at the Grand Floridian because he thought it didn't really go with the style. And it took out a place where apparently, I did not know this, apparently there used to be a live band that would play on the balcony like most nights, and that was one of the things that like made it like a premium resort. And now it's just a seating area for this bar. And he's like, this used to be something cool and unique that like made it worth paying the extra money at the Grand Floridian, and now they don't have that.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's kind of sad. I didn't even know that was a thing. And apparently, did you know they have a bird cage in the lobby, and they used to have real birds in there?
I know that there's a bird cage. I didn't know that there was...
They used to have birds in there.
Yeah, I didn't know that there were real birds in there.
Yeah.
The bird cage is giant.
It is. Yeah. Anyway, totally off topic, but like just talking about like the changes to things.
Yeah.
And he was comparing it with like other premium resorts he stayed at and like what their like their concierge level buffets and stuff. And he's like, if you look at what they offer you versus like what like the Hilton or whatever offers, he's like, look at what Hilton offers. They offer all this really cool whatever, and then Disney just has like some free pastries and some coffee, which I thought was interesting. I don't know.
Interesting.
I know Eric, who I co-host Hub Crawl with, loves concierge level stuff at everywhere. So
And it might just be, what is your level of fandom?
that's true.
You know, are you staying there because you love the extra levels of immersion and like Disney bubble feel?
Yeah.
Or are you staying there because you like to be like, you like the pampering?
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
I can understand, you can definitely get like the attentiveness and pampering and the, you know, the extras anywhere, but
Sure.
it's only Disney that you kind of get both, where you get the immersion
I think
of the
Eric
Disney stuff plus the extras.
I think Eric likes it because he was just talking about how when the parks get like busy, he just likes to go to somewhere kind of quiet. And since there's only so many people in the concierge level,
Oh, sure, yeah.
that he's like, I can go sit in that lounge and it's quiet and I can do my thing and I can have like some free pastries or whatever.
Mhm.
And like, I'm chill.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Well, there are some extra experiences for the Food and Wine Festival in downtown Disney. Tons of extra ones.
The first one is the Experiencias de Paseo Crudo and Tequila at Paseo, which has their executive chef that allows guests to experience a culinary demonstration on the stories behind Campachi Crudo, the classic appetizer of chips and salsa, and Paseo's Sonrisa Margarita. That is $45 per person plus tax and 20% gratuity. And that happens on April 9th at 4 p.m. And that's at Paseo.
How fun is that? And then also at Paseo, you can have an evening with Chef Carlos Gaitan at Paseo. So you can hang out with the chef, who is the first Mexican-born chef to earn a Michelin star.
That's cool.
And it's going to feature an incredible 5-course tasting menu paired with delicious wines. The night will feature authentic Mexican dishes from the chef with a twist, of course, that guests have come to know and love. Tickets for this experience are $150 per person plus tax and 20% gratuity. Make reservations online, of course. But the menu, yum. We've got mussels a la tala, which is nestled in a delicate, savory buñuelo. Shrimp cocktail. There's a pozole verde, crispy pork belly, and a mandarina cheesecake.
Ooh.
How cool! Like, this is kind of, and this is, I think this is a great experience because folks love, like, we haven't experienced it ourselves, but think of like Chef's Table at Napa Rose. This sounds even more intimate, and the Napa Rose Chef's Table is very popular. So how cool would it be to like get to hang out with the chef? I'm sure watch him create all of these wonderful dishes and then get to sit and enjoy a meal.
And if you want to do this one, you got to do it soon because it's on March 26th.
Ooh, yeah.
So tomorrow, if you're listening, it's the day it drops.
So
at 6 p.m.
we were behind the ball on learning about these very amazing experiences.
Over at Naples, there's a Make and Shake pizza making and mixology class that is on March 29th and April 5th at 4 p.m. You get to make your own wood-fired pizza with the renowned chefs and craft the perfect cocktails with expert mixologists. This expert-led class will teach guests how to perfectly top their creations with fresh vegetables and savory Italian meats. And you get to craft 2 cocktails. Tickets are $55 per person plus tax and 18% gratuity. And so you get to create an Italian Royale, which includes like some sparkling wine and stuff, and a New York Sour are the 2 things you get to create.
The 2 cocktails. And then at Vista Parkside Market, there is a spirit and wine tasting from 2 to 3 p.m. every Saturday through April 12th. Tickets for this are $50 per person, which also includes tax and gratuity. Of course, you need to be 21 or older to do this. Each weekend's different. So this weekend is Garrison Brothers and also Casamingo Tequila. There's also on, April 5th, Ardberg, and then April 12th, Bouillet Bourbon. So.
And then at the Jazz Kitchen, Coastal Grill and Patio, there's beignet and beverage tastings on Saturdays and Sundays at 12 and 2 through April 20th. You get 3 gourmet beignets, which are a simple glazed one, a strawberry shortcake, and a bananas Foster, paired with beverages. This one's a little bit more budget friendly. It's $35 per person plus tax, gratuity, and fees. These look really good.
Well, and I was just looking at the photo they have here. These are full-size beignets.
Oh, yeah.
That's almost that's a lot.
These drinks look kind of
The
fun,
drinks
too.
look really fun, too. It looks like there's wine, like a red wine and maybe a white wine pairing. I'm not sure what this cocktail is, though, in the middle.
It's got a strawberry
Yeah,
on it.
it's got like a strawberry plus a mint sprig, and it's kind of like creamy looking to go with the strawberry.
Yeah.
Anyways, if anybody does these, please let us know your experience doing these because this is just so fun. This is one of the cool things about Food and Wine Festival is you kind of get to have these more immersive and more unique experiences centered around either dining, foods, or the drinking, and the fact that you get to kind of go behind the scenes and do hands-on activities too. Like, when can you ever go make your own pizza at Naples? Yeah. When do you ever
on a
get
wood-fired
to do that?
thing? That'd be so cool.
Yeah, like how fun is that? Or get to sit and talk with like Michelin star chefs as they're cooking and creating deliciousness for you too. Like amazing experience.
Well, a less amazing experience, another entertainment option has gone away from the parks. Disney Junior Live Dance Party has ended performances and could, if rumors are to be believed, be replaced by something bluey.
By something bluey, yeah.
Well, they haven't announced anything, but they said bluey.
We do know that Bluey is coming, I believe, to the cruise lines as well as Walt Disney World. So it makes sense that perhaps the Disney Junior Live Dance Party is being updated. I feel like it's been the Disney Junior Dance Party for quite some time now.
It's been a while.
So I could see a refresh, and Bluey is very big and very hot right now, so why not?
Have you watched any Bluey?
I have not, but I've heard amazing things about it.
They're short. Like, just go on Disney Plus and watch a couple. You'll get a kick out of it.
It's one of those, like, from what I understand, children and adults alike really, really enjoy Bluey.
There is something for everyone.
There you go. Another quick entertainment update. It's rumor right now, but it kind of makes sense. It sounds like the stunt show that happens on the e-ticket building of Avengers Campus, you know, the big building, Avengers headquarters, that the Quinjet is parked on, that big building, that really cool, fun stunt show that's been there since opening day of Avengers Campus. It sounds like that is actually going to be ending soon. Tag had made a really good point, though. It's probably likely due to the fact that they have construction going on.
Like right there.
And then they're also going to be doing things hopefully soon with the building itself. The construction that's right there is Stark's Flight Lab is going on. Like dirt is moving. If you watch our friend David over at Fresh Baked, he's been watching these. I love this. Have you heard the names?
Last time I paid attention to that part, because honestly, like him zooming in on piles of dirt aren't that exciting, so I kind of skipped through that part. But he was like trying to figure out names. Well, didn't he call one of them like
Mount Downey Jr.?
Like Downey Jr.,
like Robert Downey Jr., yep. Mount
Not
Downey.
His best name, in
Mount
fairness.
Downey and Mount Downey Jr.
Mount
I thought
Gracie
it
was good.
Perfect, though, for like thematically, though, and
Sure.
it's Stark's Flight Lab. I thought it was good.
Why didn't he call it like Mount Stark?
I think Mount Downey.
Downey, you say Downey without the junior, and I think of like the fabric softener.
Oh, so there's two giant piles of dirt.
So is it Downey and Downey Jr.?
Yeah, because one's bigger than the other.
Oh my goodness.
It's super fun.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Leave it to David to name things, fun things.
Watching Fresh Bake's construction updates
every Monday.
Every week is it's fun.
It is definitely fun.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
I am Groot.
What do you mean you're hungry? Kraglin needs those pots for the rehydrator. We don't have time for snacks.
I am Groot.
Were you talking to Tag and Teresa again? How'd they even get a hold of you?
I am Groot.
Fine. One snack. That's it.
I am Groot.
No, I haven't seen any churros. You gotta talk to Vern. And stop smiling.
Well, this week for Snack Chat, we are continuing our tour around Disney California Adventure. Last time we talked about Flo's V8 Cafe. So we're going to continue along the little path there in Cars Land, and we're going to exit into San Francisco. And on our right-hand side, we run into the Lucky Fortune Cookery, which is one of our favorite places.
I have not eaten here yet.
It is my favorite, one of my favorite places.
For sure. Well, I haven't eaten here yet. I have gotten beverages from here, but I've not had food yet. And that's because you'll learn this as we continue our tour around the San Francisco area. There's so many good options right there that I just get overwhelmed with choices because there's so many good choices. It's hard to pick.
I think the other reason that you haven't really had much here is a lot of the things here, as we talked about a little bit earlier, have mushrooms in them.
Yeah. Not all, just some.
Yeah.
So let's start with the honey walnut shrimp wrap. Fried shrimp tossed in sweet honey sauce, white rice, candied walnuts, slaw, green onions, and sesame seed go into that wrap. That sounds interesting.
I haven't had that one. They have a teriyaki chicken with sauteed vegetables and steamed rice, which seems pretty straightforward.
This is what I really want to try, the beef birria ramen with consomme served with house-made birria, soft-boiled egg, Monterey Jack, cilantro, roasted corn, onions, and radish. I've heard that this one, for some folks, is a little spicy, but it just looks so delicious. So delicious.
They have the Karaji-inspired crispy chicken sandwich. I'm so sorry, people. With slaw and togarashi mayonnaise on a potato bun served with garlic chips. Now, I want to say James might have had this because the garlic chips are amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure James got this, and then you were sneaking garlic chips.
The garlic chips are amazing. In fact, the last time when we were there recently, I wanted to see if they would sell me just a side of the garlic chips, but the line was so long. I'm not going to try to worry about that.
I'm going to skip ahead quickly to the sides because the last one is what you typically order. So I'm going to let you be all on that.
Yeah, the next two items.
Side, we have pot stickers with crispy vegetable and chicken inside those lovely little pot stickers. And then for dessert, this is something that I've tried. The Baymax macaron, which is filled with chocolate, hazelnut spread, and buttercream. It's adorable, too.
It is adorable. Anything with Baymax is pretty adorable.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually two versions of almost the same dish. So here we go. The first one is a yaki udon with Karaagi-inspired crispy chicken. This comes with mushrooms, sugar snap peas, roasted red peppers, bok choy, dark soy, and hoisin sauces. Mm-hmm. Our exchange student got this. He loves chicken. He thought it was amazing. He loved it. I've ordered just the regular yaki udon, which is actually under the plant-based section.
So same thing,
just without
no
the chicken. Mm-hmm. And that's very good. That's something that I order a lot.
This makes me sad because I don't think I can get it. I feel like we talk about my mushroom thing a lot on here.
Sure.
I wish that I could get this without mushroom.
Yeah.
I would so get this. I don't know if I can, and I kind of feel rude asking because I know they're very, very busy. And there's plenty of other options for me to get instead, but it just, every time you get it, it looks just delicious. It smells amazing. Yeah.
And normally I'm not a drink person, but this place
I've converted
has the drink that is probably my favorite drink at the resort, which is the Thai tea, which has sea salt cream on top and brown sugar tapioca pearls. Mm-hmm. I have ordered this thing 4, 5, 6 times, a lot.
There's times that we've gone that you ordered it with your meal and then you order a second one as we're leaving the area because...
There's also been times where I've ordered food at another place and then I ordered
just got the drink.
Yes.
Yep.
Because this thing is so good.
What is it about the Thai tea?
It's kind of sweet, but not too sweet. I didn't realize that the tapioca pearls were brown sugar, actually, until I was just reading this. It's just good. It's got kind of a milkiness. Sometimes the milkiness, though, like as the drink starts to like not be as cold, the milk, sometimes with any milky kind of things, kind of has that weirdness to it. Like it's almost like I start to worry like it's like going bad, warm milk.
It got too warm,
yeah. But this never gets to that. It's always just like, it's creamy, but not too creamy.
Sure.
And then the pearls. I just love
like the tapioca
They're
pearls.
so grilled. Although I feel like maybe I should try the 3 milk ube tea, because that also has the brown sugar tapioca pearls.
Yeah, topped with a coconut foam though instead.
But the Thai tea I know is just so good. I'm glad I think this was a special, wasn't it? And then it became.
It was, yeah. It was. I think it was. I don't remember if it was Food and Wine Fest or Festival of the Holidays, but yeah, it was a special menu item for one of the. I think it was a holiday festival menu.
This is like the Black Calf back in Docubay 7. Like
There
they
you
just
go.
like kept it, right?
Yep, it just stuck around.
Sorry, we can stop
'cause-
talking about the tea now, but it's so good.
That's okay. That's basically the end. Of course, they do have some children's items. There's some alcoholic beverages here too. There's a Baymax sipper that you can get as well. There's hot green tea if you're looking for a warm beverage, as well as, of course, your fountain beverages, which aren't very exciting. However, I might need to try this. They have a strawberry lychee cocktail. It's vodka, lychee liqueur, premium strawberry syrup, and fresh lemon juice with a sliced strawberry garnish. That sounds refreshing. Like on a hot summer day, that just sounds.
Well, we'll be there on potentially some hot
There you
summer
go.
days this summer,
Exactly.
so maybe a good choice.
Exactly. Well, we first spoke with our friends over at Where in the Park way back on episode 265. Amanda and Kevin create very fun and amazing seek and find adventures that are kind of scavenger hunt games in parks all over the United States. So whether you want to challenge at the Disneyland Resort or you're looking to explore a new place, maybe Universal Studios, Knott's Berry Farm, or SeaWorld, there are fun game packs for everyone. For those of you that don't like the physical cards and you're more digital, they even have digital packs, which is very exciting. So from beginning to expert, Where in the Park is super fun for first timers to folks that have been on their 1,000th visit to the park. They just kicked off a new thing that they have all of these different bundles that kind of just keep expanding. So if you're a regular and love this game and you need more and more and more things to like seek and find and have fun with your friends and family with, or if this is just something that you really enjoy on your solo park days, they've got all sorts of different bundles that you can get now. The cool thing with the bundles, you do get a discount for buying the bundles. Plus, if you use our promo code DLWeekly, you'll get 10% off your order as well. So head on over to Where in the Park to pick up your game packs today.
And they're lots of fun. We've played them.
Actually, come to talk of it, I should go pack ours right now and just put it right in my park
Because we
bag
forget, yeah.
to make sure they come with us.
Yes.
DL Weekly announces the boarding of the Trivia Express, non-stop star speeder service to the moon of Endor. All passengers, please prepare for immediate boarding.
Welcome to Trivia Land, where we have some awesome listener-submitted questions ready for you. Are you ready for these questions?
Well,
We will see.
We're here. We're ready. We're going to take them down.
Oh,
Yeah,
all
there you
right.
go.
I am loving the enthusiasm. Let's see how you do.
That's all we have.
Your first listener-submitted question from listener Nicholas E. Most people know that Disney didn't always own the Disneyland Hotel. I don't know how I feel about that phrasing because I didn't know that. Am I not part of most people?
Apparently not.
Anyway, back to the question. What was the name of the family that originally made the deal with Walt
I
to
feel
open/operate the
I feel
Disneyland Hotel?
So terrible because I should know this. And I do not remember their name.
Wasn't it Jack Wagner
Oh, I believe.
and the Wagner
yeah,
Corporation?
I believe that. Yep, I think you got it.
It's either Wagner or No, I think it's
No,
Wagner.
I'm pretty sure it's Wagner.
I know it's Jack Wagner. And,
Good job,
And
Tig.
Wagner Corporation or whatever.
I don't even know if that's right, but I'm going to say good job. But that feels like that sounds right.
So, Teresa, you're going to hitch your wagon up with Tag and join on that answer of Jack Wagner?
Yes, I'm hopping aboard the luggage cart.
Alrighty.
That sounds dangerous, but sure.
Your second listener-submitted question from listener Mike S. Who is the only Disney cast member to officially attend the opening of every Disney theme park?
Oh, dang it.
Are you okay? I think Teresa just had a
That looks
spasm.
painful.
I think it's Marty Sklar.
Sure. I will hop on that private jet to the parks for around the world.
All right. So you're getting off the luggage cart and you're getting on the private jet to parks around the world to say that
With
Marty
Marty
Sklar
Yep,
is the correct answer, is what you're saying.
I think so.
All
We'll
right.
Find out. I was so confident. Now I'm like questioning everything.
Okay. Your third listener submitted question from listener Andy M. According to Dr. Fall's Jungle Rivers of Adventureland map in the queue, what rivers do you travel through in the Jungle Cruise?
Well,
the
denial,
Nile.
because you're in denial.
Mhm. Don't you go down like the Amazon River too?
Yeah. Not the Mississippi.
Right. Because that's over like Rivers of America. Like part of that is supposed to be
Yeah,
like the Mississippi.
So
So it's like the famous like rivers of the world, right?
The rivers of the world, which I'm very bad at knowing.
Well, we know 2. How many are there, Vern? Can you give us
6.
Oh,
Oh
jeez.
boy, yeah, we're not getting there.
1/3 of the way.
Oh, yeah. That's about as far as Skipper Felix got. And that's about how far we're gonna get.
I think Skipper Felix may have gotten further.
I'd say Skipper Felix got it about halfway,
Maybe.
give or take.
Are you
I'm
still
trying to think. I'm trying to think of like some of the names of the boats because some of the names of the boats have.
You think so?
Yes,
I thought you said you weren't gonna try to hurt yourself
I
on this one.
know. Continue, Vern. I'm not going to get there.
All right.
As much as I would like to, we need to turn in our Jungle Cruise cards.
And your fourth and final regular round question from listeners Carter R. and Jeffrey R.
Oh.
No indication if the R stands for the same thing with both of them. What was the first attraction to be removed from Disneyland, and in what year?
Was it the flying saucers?
No, that was in the 60s.
Okay.
The Viewliner was installed and only was around for like a year before they went with the monorail.
Was it an opening day attraction? Can we get some sort of hint or no?
No.
Hmm.
Hold on.
Just what'd you say? It was just you said removed.
The first attraction removed. I'll go with the Viewliner. Because I feel like that was something kind of early on that didn't last very long at all, which is crazy. You're going with someone else?
Well, I'm trying to think because removed's not like rethemed.
Yeah. Because all the boats and
It
stuff
was an
are-
opening day attraction.
Oh, well, then it wasn't the Viewliner. Opening day attraction.
And
Let's
like
see.
attraction, it's not one of the like halls of something in
No,
Tomorrowland.
it was an attraction. An attraction that was there on opening day. And it was the first one to be removed.
I feel like I'm missing something very obvious here.
Well, because what did they have? So they had all the Fantasyland attractions. They had the
Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise. They had
Mark Twain.
the train, the Mark Twain. They had Fantasyland was kind of like where all the attractions were.
Yeah. Tomorrowland was a lot of like the displays more so.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
There was the Autopia over in Tomorrowland. Was it the Mission to the Moon? Was that like there on opening day?
But that was even so that was rethemed, not removed.
See, it just depends on what we mean by rethemed or removed. Like where do you draw the line? Because like could you say that taking out the Journey to Inner Space was removed, but Star Tours is there?
Sure, yeah.
But I guess it uses a different ride system and everything, so that would probably be different.
Yeah.
Let's see.
The only thing okay, so we had like the canal boats, but that was a retheme because that was like a blink and then
for
they
like Storybook
redid.
Land, basically.
Yeah. So it was Canal Boats of the World.
And then there was there was like the Phantom boats, but those got rethemed into different things, didn't they?
Yeah, those got rethemed too. I feel like I need to turn my Disneyland card in. Had to turn in my
We were so confident today.
had to turn in my Jungle Cruise card. Now I need to turn in my Disneyland fan card because I feel there's probably so many people yelling at us right now because I think this is obvious and we're somehow just completely.
Do you know what we should do for
missing
a discussion topic one of these times? We should do a tour of opening day Disneyland.
Oh, there you go. Maybe we know the answer to this question
We
then.
probably would. But it'd be cool to like, let's go down Main Street and let's go into Adventureland and blah, blah, blah. And we could talk about the differences. That'd be kind of cool. We should definitely do that. Vern, I think we're
done.
We're
cooked.
You're throwing in the towel?
Yeah.
All right.
Our answer left as quickly as that attraction, whatever it was.
All right, so we'll write you down for a stumped on that one.
Yeah.
And your bonus question tonight from listener Daniel C. In 1957, Imagineers Claude Coates, Fred Yeager, and Harriet Burns built a model of Rock Candy Mountain, an attraction intended for Fantasyland but never built. However, the idea for the attraction lives on because a replica of the model is displayed in the window of a store at the Disneyland Resort. In what store is this replica displayed?
I know
I think it's in Trolley Treats.
Trolley Treats, yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the window of the Trolley Treats store on Buena Vista Street.
And where is Buena Vista Street?
In Disney California Adventure.
Oops.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
All right.
I was hoping that's what the question was going to be because I'm like, I think I know this one.
I was feeling pretty stumped in the beginning, so I'm like, oh no, where's this going? But yeah, it ended okay.
Yeah. I think we got something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, listeners, how did you do listening at home or in your car or while you should be working
Better than
or
us.
wherever it is that you listen? How do you think Tag and Teresa did? If you stick around until after the discussion, we can all find out together.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Well, for this week, we are very honored to have Farrah Rochon with us. She is a New York Times and USA Today best-selling author who, of course, writes some wonderful Disney books. Welcome, Farrah. We're very excited to chat with you today.
Thank you all so much for having me. I'm excited. Always happy to talk Disney.
Disney people are like the best people. We love having conversations with Disney people. So, well, to get you acquainted with our listeners, tell us your Disney story. What got you interested in Disney or the parks? And you can be as detailed as you like.
Yeah, I live in South Louisiana. So I'm pretty close to Disney World. Well, pretty close. It's, like a 10.5-hour drive. But it's one of those places when I was a little girl, my parents brought us a couple of times. We also had like school trips during the summer. So I went a few times as a little girl. But it was actually my cousin who about, I would say, 25 or so years ago, whenever was the year that they had the birthday cake castle.
Oh, yeah.
25 year.
Yep.
It was that year. She wanted to bring her daughter. And her daughter's like 6 years old, but she didn't want to go just the two of them alone. So she asked my older sister if she would bring her daughter to Disney. So, of course, my brother and I, we tagged along and we made it a big thing. And that's what sparked this like obsession, this personality change for me. Like Disney is my entire personality. It was that trip because my niece, who was 5 at the time, she has gone every year since. Wow. And for 13 years, she was actually a cast member. She just left the company last year. So it became this obsession for the entire family. And, I've gone, of course, every year, multiple times a year since. So that's my Disney story, thanks to my cousin Tiffany, who she probably doesn't even realize that she was the catalyst. I don't remember, but yeah, she's the one who has made us just obsessed with Disney.
Now, does she also like Disney? Like, is she a big fan as well or not as much?
I think she has only been back once since then. I did take her to Alani a couple of years ago.
Oh, fun.
As a thank you she was really helpful during a tough time in my life. And I wanted to just give her a thank you. So yeah, brought her to Alani because that's one of my DVC homes. See, again, obsessed. My entire life revolves around Disney. So yeah, she's just the one that got us into it and she kind of left it.
Yeah.
It's like she like let off like the, I don't know, firecracker and just walked away. Like,
the reason I ask is like when I was younger, my mom took me, and she, up until the last couple years when she's realized how like cool the podcast is, she was always like, it was the worst mistake I ever made was taking you to Disneyland because you just got obsessed. And I was all, you just, everything is the Disneyland. I just don't understand. But now she's kind of like proud of it, I guess, because she like is always like, can I get more business cards? I'm handing out your podcast business. I'm like, okay.
It's cute.
Yeah. So gotta appreciate that for sure. So
I love that. I love that. So when you're entering Disneyland or the Magic Kingdom, since you are closer to Walt Disney World, on like, so first day that you're at the parks, which way do you like to go? Do you like to head off to Adventureland, forward into Fantasyland? Do you hit up Tomorrowland? What's kind of your plan of attack for the park?
It is always take a right to Tomorrowland because I have to ride the People Mover. It puts me in my zone. I like to just, let's chill out, ride the People Mover. If the line is short, I'll ride it twice because I just like to settle in. And for some reason, that is just a ride that helps me it brings me to the Magic Kingdom. You get to see so much of Tomorrowland. I love it. And what's weird is that I've always loved it. It's always been one of my favorite rides because it's so chill. But yeah, definitely.
To bring my mom back up, that is one thing that she talks about at Disneyland, because Disneyland doesn't have their People Mover anymore.
Yeah.
And she complains all the time. She's like, why did they get rid of that? That was the best ride.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
We got to add one thing onto this too that we started asking is, what tunnel do you go through? What, like, because, at the Magic Kingdom, you got what side do you go through to get into the park? Or is it still is the two sides at Disney World?
They do have two, it's two areas. It all depends on what resort I'm staying.
Oh, sure. That makes sense.
Because, the buses will put you on one side and the monorail puts you on the other. So for me, it's always whichever one I'm closest. Or if I need to go through the pass holder line, because if it's really busy, which you usually won't find me at Magic Kingdom if it's so busy that I have to look for the pass holder line to go through. Like,
too busy.
I'll go back to my resort and come back later.
Yep. Nope. I get it. See, we forget these things because we don't have, first of all, our entrance is not quite as expansive as Walt Disney World. So it's very easy to even if you go through the right side of like the ticket gates, what do you call them? The turnstiles, you can still cut over to, it's easy to cut across because it's not quite as expansive. And we don't have a pass holder line either. So,
which I don't understand why, because we have such a huge Magic Key thing. We should definitely have one.
Yeah.
I think they'd have to make like half of the Magic Key entrances. That's why. Well, maybe we already know the answer to this one. What is your favorite attraction? So even though this is a Disneyland podcast, this could be any attraction from any Disney park.
Right now, my favorite is Guardians of the Galaxy at Epcot.
Ooh.
It is the one ride that for years it was Rock and Roller Coaster. Even though I love the People Mover at Magic Kingdom, my favorite ride was the Rock and Roller Coaster because I'm still a coaster girl. And the very first time I rode Guardians of the Galaxy, I just thought, sorry, Aerosmith. This is amazing.
Sorry, Aerosmith.
I was blown away. I loved it so much. And it's the first ride in years that I've actually stood in line. They have the virtual queue at Disney, although they just got rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the virtual queue, the line was like over an hour wait. And I happily stood in that line every single time so that I could ride that ride. Yeah.
So what is it? So obviously it's the thrill part of it since you're a thrill ride person. But what is it specifically about it that just like it was like this is it?
It also has the great music. It has 80s music. And I am a child of the 80s. In a way, I was middle school and a bit of high school in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But the ride itself is just so gorgeous. I don't know if you all have been on it, but it is gorgeous.
Teresa has a disappointment.
Yeah, I fail so bad when I forget that it's world is not land sometimes.
Oh.
So I've been to Epcot twice, and both times I'm like thinking I'm like, oh, I'm prepared. I can get the I failed both times for the virtual queue, but it's okay. That means that there's just something else for me to look forward to for my next Walt Disney World trip.
Oh, well, now there's no virtual queue.
Yeah, now I don't have to play the game.
Yeah. Our community manager, Kate, went and she said like she wrote it like 3 times or something because she was just like, I love it. She's like, it makes me so happy. And I'm like, well, that's great.
It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous ride. The combination of the screen and the roller coaster and the music. I've actually paid for a lightning lane. It's one thing that I said, Disney, you're not getting extra money from me. I'm not paying for this lightning lane stuff. And yes, I paid for a lightning lane with that ride. So that's,
I mean,
anyone who knows me should tell you, Farrah paid extra for something. Yeah, it's worth it.
But everybody that's ridden it loves it. Like people speak so highly of it that I can imagine
you don't
it
have,
being worth it.
The motion sickness issue. Yeah.
Yes, that's the one thing. People with motion sickness, I can see that being just but
now tell me one thing. So in the queue, there's that cool room, right? That that's pretty cool, right?
Oh yeah, as you're going through
where you're like transporting up to the ship or whatever it is.
Yeah, you have with Terry Crews. I don't want to give like spoilers for people.
Yeah. But it's awesome though, right?
Yeah. It's that's Disney though. That's the one thing about Disney. I love their queues. If you have to stay in line, at least you're gonna get a show. With it. And I think they always do for all of their rides, they give you such a great, some way to pass the time.
Yeah.
With it. And that one is as cool as the ride. The wait can be just as fun.
So since you're an East Coast Guardians girl, what do you think about the attraction over in Disney California Adventures that the Guardians have taken over? Have you done Mission Breakout?
Yeah. Wait, is that the one that's basically...
That's the drop elevator one.
Yep.
That's what I've seen. Yes, I have done that, and I thought it was very cute. The funny thing is, I've never seen any of the Guardian of the Galaxy movies.
Whoa.
I know.
That's okay. The music is like the fun, like such a fun part of the movies, and obviously the attractions too.
Yeah.
So
that's what I remember. I went years ago. I think I did back in some time ago. I would do the Disney runs, like I did half marathons.
Yeah.
I know, wouldn't happen today. But I remember waiting in line after doing a half marathon to ride that ride, and I just told my friends it better be worth it. and it was worth it.
Good. That's awesome. I was just going to say, I can't imagine running a half marathon and then standing in a queue.
Yeah.
Not being able to really move and stretch and
It was horrific. I still can't believe they made me go all around the parks after doing it.
Oh my gosh. You did a full park day after the half marathon? Jeez.
We did. We didn't get to the room until like late. It was horrible. It was fun, but also fun.
Yeah.
I got fun memories from that day.
I feel like you're channeling me for sure because like I was just having a conversation yesterday with some folks about Disney stuff, and one of the things they brought up was like, oh, midday break, go back to the hotel and enjoy the pool. And I'm like, I ain't going back to the hotel. I'm paid to be here the whole day. I'm getting the whole day.
That was us about, I would say, 15 or so years ago. Now
it is getting harder, I will admit. That but towards the end of the night, I mean, even when Teresa and I have gotten together, like there's been times where, the park's open till midnight and Teresa and I'll look at each other around 10:30 and we're just like, we should probably just go back. Even though I love night at Disneyland, but it's like...
Are we staying till the close, or do we want to get up for open? Because I don't think we can do both.
Yeah. I don't know what happened, man. Like, we got old.
Yeah, it happens.
I will readily admit to it. The only time I will do that is if I'm there with my family, because I go solo a lot. I use like a writing retreat a lot of times. I'll put myself in one of the resorts, and I treat myself to a few hours in the afternoon if I get my work count done. That's how I treat Disney now. But I have gone with family, with my nieces and nephews, and That's the only time you'll see me in line for something at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. No, I'm just by myself. I am in bed with whatever great snack I've brought back, some dessert I've brought back. And I'm in my PJs just watching some kind of Disney something on the TV, I'm sure, but I'm in my resort.
And that's okay. That's okay. Especially in Disney World, the resorts are like an extension of the park, so why not?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I love the resorts. I love them.
Yeah, and Disney World has so many of them. Because we're a Disneyland podcast, we go to Disneyland so often, we only have the 3, and they're good, but they're nowhere kind of, I don't know, they just... they're trapped in their little footprint. Yeah. So they're not like these sprawling, expansive things.
I was going to say they're more compact, but I actually really enjoyed that my last stay when I was at the Disneyland Hotel. I love that it's so compact.
Yeah.
Big restaurants, the theming is great. So while it isn't, it isn't the huge Saratoga Springs that takes up, I love the grounds there, but I think there's pluses and minuses to both. So,
yeah. When you were at the Disneyland Hotel, did you stay in the Disneyland Hotel proper, or did you check out the new villas?
Well, it was the villas because I'm a DVC member, so I stayed on point.
We toured those, and I just looked at Tag and I said, I just want to live here. I just want to live in one of these rooms.
Yeah, and it was the first time because I was alone at the time, and it was the first time I did one of the little, I think they call them a duo, or it's only for 2 people.
Oh, yeah.
Little, oh my gosh, so adorable!
Mm-hmm.
It was great. I did it for like 2 nights, and then I moved to a regular deluxe studio or whatever. But I would have stayed in that little room. It was just so cute. So, yeah, I do love those. I save points just in case I have to make a trip to the West Coast. Make sure I have some points to cover in hotel.
One of the people who I do another podcast with, he's owned DVC for a while now, him and his wife. And his wife just got a second contract. So they own now 2 DVC properties. And I'm like, why do you need 2? And they're like, because the points. And I'm like, okay.
I have 4.
I was going to say, she looks like she has a confession to make. It's the points.
Look, I tell people that they say that most women collect shoes. I collect DVC properties.
I love it.
I know. It's a combination of needing the points, but also having a longer window for, you get higher priority, like 11 months to book compared to 7.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
And I just, I owned one at Grand Floridian because I wanted that window. And then the Riviera came and blew me away. So I went there once and said, okay, I guess I'm going to own here too. And I've vowed to not get any more DVC points because I do not need any.
You said you own 4. Do you own it like Alani?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I had a feeling that you owned it Alani.
Alani is my biggest contract, actually. And we do go, I've gone a few times. If I was on the West Coast, I would go a lot more. But yeah, again, obsessed.
It sounds like you get good use out of your points, though, since you use it as part of and especially because we haven't even gotten to what your career is, but you've written multiple Disney books, and what a better place to write Disney stories and be inspired than if you can be at one of the Disney parks doing so. So I think you get good use out of those 4 contracts. There's no judgment here.
No, I'm not judging you. I'm just jealous. Impressed, and it's cool to be able to do that, of course. Mm-hmm. And so
it's one of those things because I am so close. I'm a quick hour and 10-minute flight. It just made sense because we were going so often because it's a quick, flight. It just made sense to finally join. Mm-hmm. I think It was 2011, so we've been in there for a little while now.
Wow.
Oh, I was going to ask you because I don't know anything really about DVC. So you were saying like you owned at the Grand Floridian, and then you went and saw the other one, and you were like, "Oh, I have to own here." So there's no way to like transfer your contract to a different resort, right? Like you just have to buy at the other resort.
Well, you can't. Well, you can stay at any resort,
Right.
but you have a longer window. You get 11 months to book if you own at that resort, as opposed to only 7 months
Okay.
window if you don't. So for the fancy, well, I won't say fancy, but for the ones that are pretty popular, it's hard to get a room if you don't own there because, 7 months, most of the rooms are gone, especially at like the really great times of the year, like Flower and Garden Festival. You won't be able to get a room at the Boardwalk or any of those Epcot, ones unless you own there. So,
but you can't communicate with Disney and say, "I'd like to not own the Grand Floridian anymore, and I'd like to buy something with that." Whatever equity I have in that over here. I guess they probably just make you sell it and then you just buy it.
That's what,
place. Okay.
You have to sell it, just buy in at the other. So, but so far I don't want to sell any. I have Saratoga Springs, Alani, Grand Floridian, and Riviera, and I would not give any of them up because I use them for different things.
There you go.
I feel like we need to have you back on in the future to talk because we haven't really talked about DVC ownership and I feel like there's a lot of questions about it and it seems like you're pretty knowledgeable with it. So I feel like maybe someday we need to have somebody on to talk about DVC ownership and stuff because Teresa and I mean, Teresa I think knows more about it than I do, but it just seems like there's so many like ins and outs and little things here and there. And as somebody who owns, you probably are really familiar with all the ins and outs and all the stuff.
I've sold it. You would think I was getting a commission. I've sold it to so many friends. But I've also, no, I don't. I don't get any. I just think, for people who like to go. But I also, I tell people, unless you're going to go at least once a year, maybe even twice, if you're someone that's only going every 3 or 4 years, nah, I wouldn't do it. But if you're a Disney person and you're going to go every year for the next 15, 20 years, yeah, because there's also a great resale value too. People, they're easy to resell. So yeah, we are going to have another discussion about DVC. Call me back.
Yeah, I was gonna say that even like people like financial experts will say like never buy timeshares, but if you're going to buy a timeshare, Disney is a great the only good timeshare to buy because they do retain their value, and people always want to buy them. So,
I agree. Yeah.
See, now she's making me think about it. You should do this. I'm surprised you haven't bought into it yet. Honestly,
it's tempting. It's so tempting. If I ever actually sat down with someone to
you'd probably end up signing paperwork. It's a good thing you haven't sat down with somebody then.
So let's transition to your career as an author. So let's kind of start at the beginning. I don't believe I've heard of anyone ever having their first book be a Disney book, but how did you let's give us a little brief introduction as to how your writing career started and then how that transitioned into writing your first book with Disney.
Well, it definitely was not my first. This year, I was actually at a school a month ago or so. I do school visits with the Disney books, of course. And I told all of the kids at the middle school that my first book would actually be graduating from high school this year because March made 18 years since my first book was released. It still blows my mind that I've actually made a career out of this. But yes, I wrote and still write romance. That's where I started and remain. However, a few years ago, I think it was maybe 2020, I have a friend who writes for the Star Wars.
Oh. Yeah.
She also wrote romance as well, but she wrote Star Wars, and she got wind of a romance. Disney was going to start doing adult romances based on the Disney princesses. And she said, you can't say where you got the news from. because they're very secretive.
Yeah.
She said, you would be perfect to write the Princess Tiana book because, of course, they knew I was Disney obsessed. I'm from the New Orleans area. So I told my literary agent, I have to write this book.
Yeah.
So we put together an entire package telling Disney Publishing why I was perfect to write the book for the Tiana adult romance. And they said, no, thank you. You don't. They were very nice about it, but they said they were only giving it like a try, and they already had 2 authors writing 2 other books, so they didn't even know if they were going to continue.
Sure.
That's fair.
They have continued with them, but after telling me that they didn't want me for that book, they said that they were hoping to get a Tiana book for a series that has been going on for quite a few books, their Twisted Tales young adult series, and asked if I would be willing to write that. And even though I've never written a young adult book, I immediately said yes, because who is going to turn down Mickey Mouse? Not me. And that's how it started. It started with me just being totally different from how I usually am and being aggressive and going after, a book. And then, turning around and offering a spot on their team of Twisted Tale authors.
That's amazing. So I gotta know, did anything ever happen to the original fantasy for adult line? Did that kind of fizzle with the ones that they were trying? And
no,
is that still a thing?
It's still a thing. They've had, I think they're up to 5 books. I think the Mulan book is coming out this year. So there's still hope. There's still hope that I can write. But the funny thing is, I realized that I really love writing the young adult.
Oh, no.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so funny. And my friends, my critique group, I've been with the critique group for about 20 years. They all think it is hilarious because I'm writing everything that I told them I would never write. All of the books have been historicals, because I've written the Tiana Twisted Tale. I've written one for Brave. And I most recently wrote the origin story for the Muses. So all of this is historical stuff that needs to be researched, and there's fantasy, there's paranormal elements, all the things I told him I would never write. I was a contemporary romance girl. That's all I was willing to write. And all it took was Disney asking me, and now I'm just in all of these subgenres.
Now you're hooked now. So the Twisted Tale series, for those that may not be familiar, take some of our beloved and characters that we've gotten to know through the movies and kind of basically at some point in their story, there's always some sort of decision. And so the Twisted Tales kind of flip the coin and say, well, what if they wouldn't have gone down that path and they would have chosen this path instead? So we'll start with Tiana for Almost There. What was that kind of fork in the road that you got to kind of play with and do the kind of what if on?
Yeah, so with Tiana's, if people are listening to this podcast, they're probably familiar with the movie. I'm sure they're Disney fans enough to have seen it. And it happens at the very end when she's being chased in the cemetery.
Oh.
And she has that amulet that can kill Facilier when she smashes it to the ground.
Yes.
And instead of smashing it to the ground, he makes her an offer that she can't refuse. So instead of killing Facilier, she actually makes a deal with him that gives her everything her little heart desired, including bringing her father back.
Oh, wow.
They opened the restaurant together. But what she does not realize is that when she made that deal with Facilier, she actually caused a lot of things in the universe to happen to people she loved and the city of New Orleans. So the book actually happens 1 year later where she's living out this fantasy, and then it's time to pay the price for that deal she made. and spooky things start to happen. Yeah.
What a good twist.
Yeah.
Because like with the Shadow Man, that's such a different level of a twist because, right, there's your paranormal and you're kind of, anything can happen with this kind of a deal. I mean, her father's been gone in the original story. So for him to be coming back is like, what? That's pretty crazy. Yeah. And I love that it's pulling on Tiana's heartstrings. And it's not just the easy thing because there's no way Tiana would just be like, oh yeah, like what the original deal is. I'll give you that restaurant. She's like, no, I need to work for that restaurant because she's just a very strong character and very like, nope,
independent.
Like she needs to do that. She doesn't want things just handed to her. So I love that it doesn't just kind of play into that and kind of goes more for her heartstrings there. Oh.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a good lesson that I think people just need because it reminds me of kind of like Ariel, right? Like she's like, well, I'll make this terrible deal because I want this thing. And I think there's a lot of people who that would be a tough choice if like you were presented with like getting everything you wanted. And some people just think like, well, what bad could happen if I got everything I wanted, And so sometimes, you don't get what you want because, maybe there's something better waiting or, there's a good reason for it. So how did you come up with how did you decide that that's where the tale was going to split off? Like, what was the brainstorming for that?
Yeah, it was some brainstorming with my editor, and that's just the one that made the most sense. So it was very, very quickly we fell upon, that should be where we have the twist. The series itself tends to, I won't say focus more on the villains, but the villains play a larger role.
Sure, yeah.
And you really get a lot of their backstory. So we knew that we wanted to bring Facilier in to it. And it just was it just seemed like the best place for it. And it worked out, wonderfully.
Yeah. I feel like from the last time I remember watching Princess of the Frog that you didn't really get a full picture of Facilier. I feel like a lot of villains, we get this like little glimpse into their thing. You think of like Ursula, right? You have to imagine that there's an entire story to be told of how she ended up being like, I don't know why I'm on this Little Mermaid thing tonight, but like, I love Ursula, but like, and the same thing with Facilier, like there's a whole backstory there that just hasn't been, and motivations, like people, and from writing stories that like people that we put in as stories as villains it's not always as clear as that, like, oh, they're just a bad person. It's like, no, like people aren't born like bad people. It's like, things happen and that's where they end up.
Exactly. So. And that's what I love about this series is that you do get a little more of their motivation, as you said, the things that made them who they are. And I can't remember, I'm quoting some great writer who I can't remember, but it's something that I always tell myself is that when it comes to a villain, they're always the hero of their own story. Yes. They don't think that what they're doing, they think they're justified in everything they're doing. Mm-hmm. And that's the same way with all of the Disney characters if you just go a little deeper under the surface with them. And because we get 400 pages in which to do it, we have a lot more room to work with that. So it makes it so much fun to write, these characters and actually get to give them more life.
Yeah. Did you, and then as the writer, like, Disney was notoriously very protective over their stuff. So how much say did you have over what that extended story of Facilier and the characters in the book are versus like how much was like Disney was like, this is what that is, or like, no, we don't want that, or like, it has to be like this?
I always say I have the best job because I get to play around with Disney characters and Disney doesn't sue me. But very few people can say that.
That's true.
But, with this series in particular, I think we get a bit more leeway because it's a twist.
Sure.
Not saying I could do everything because unlike with my other publishers, with Disney, I had more people to have their hands in it and it have to go, approval by people at the studio. And what I did the one for Brave was the first Pixar movie that had ever been twisted. So I also had to go with the Pixar people. They had to make sure, it wasn't going to contradict anything that's maybe in the works or it's a lot. You do have a lot of people who have their hands in it, but also I got to do a lot more than I thought I would with these characters. And I think it's just because, the nature of the series being the twist.
I also think it's just really cool as a Disney fan that you get to talk to people who potentially like know the characters so much more than we've ever seen. And so you kind of get that privileged information of like the direct sources of like Facilier, let's say like, oh, he would never do that because of this, or like, oh yeah, like, these are things like we didn't have time in the movie to talk about, or like in our character profile or whatever, like this was what his whole thing was. So like that must be super cool too, because like you get to expand upon it, of course, and like make some things, but it must be really cool to kind of get that little extra for each of these characters.
I distinctly remember it with Brave because they actually said, I think I had to sign the NDA and everything, but they actually sent me a lot of the research that was done by the team who went to Scotland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was able to use a lot of their information when crafting that story. So that was extremely cool to see. They have, I don't know if people even know this, but Disney actually has its own Scottish tartan.
Oh.
Yeah. They actually have one for Dunbrock. I think there's like less than 40 official tartans for Scotland, and Disney has one. They granted them an official tartan. So the tartan that you see in the movie, Disney designed it and created it, but it actually is official. Wow. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Come on, that level of detail. Yeah. I mean, they could have just, drawn whatever they wanted and like just, continued on. That's amazing.
Here's my ignorance. What is a tartan?
Oh, that's
the plaid.
Yeah, it's the plaid.
Oh,
yeah.
See, I didn't know that. I was you're talking. I was like, I feel like I should know what this is.
You do.
You did. It was just another word for it. But yes, plaid. They have Clan Dunbrock has his own plaid.
Wow, that's cool.
I thought that was the coolest. That was, yeah.
That's amazing. And that makes perfect sense. First of all, that's amazing that they kind of lent and shared with you the research that they had that they used then to create the movie. But it makes total sense because then you're kind of going from the same sources and figuring out like where the lores and where the storylines and all that, why it all came together the way it did. So then that would be easier for you to then continue the story for her. And we're looking at the front of the book. And so it looks like the twist for this is what if the witch gave Merida a different spell, which that's another perfect place to twist that one. Cause look at all this like mystical stuff you got to play with. You got to play with the Shadow Man. You got to play with the witch.
I did with Brave, which I think is totally underrated. I think an underrated princess. I love her. And with that one, I also did a lot of my own research just on Scottish lore and such, and I incorporated that. But I like to call that book Brave Meets Back to the Future.
Oh.
Because that's kind of what happened. She actually, instead of her mom, eating that cake from the witch, Merida takes it herself because she's the one who wanted to change her faith. Mm-hmm. So she decided, I will take this cake myself. And instead it sends her back in time to when her parents were teenagers opposing clans. And she has to get them together.
Yep.
So you could tell I am a child of the 80s. I said that already. I love Back to the Future is one of those movies that my mom called like our babysitter. She would sit in the VCR. So it was so much fun to, take elements from that and use with Brave. That one has like castle intrigue and just 10th century Scotland. So much about it. It was such a fun book to write.
That's cool. And for those of you that haven't ever picked up a Twisted Tale, if you haven't yet, I feel like probably after this, you might be picking up one of the two that we've just talked about. We've talked about Almost There, which is the Tiana story, of course, and then Fate Be Changed, which is about Merida. But the thing that's wonderful about these books is it's not something that you have to devote hours and hours and hours to, because they're like these I just call like young adult stories perfect. They're just perfect. They're easier reads, and you can go through them as quickly or as slowly as you want. It's not like you're going to have to, I'm reading a book right now that I've checked out from the library probably 5 times because I'm just a slow reader, because it's just a very long book. Yeah. These ones, I love this because it's like the perfect length.
Yeah. And the pacing it's, when you write it for teens, even though so many of the readers are adults, but they have a quicker pace. They have, they're meant to be consumed. I wouldn't say quickly, but I like the word consumable. They are consumable. Mm-hmm. It's not a slog to read through them.
Yeah, and you can do it casually too, because it's not like you need to just like sit there. I mean, you can sit there and like read it all front to back. You could just be casually reading a chapter here or there and still just be as like engulfed in whatever the storyline is.
Yeah, I think unfortunately young adult novels are like, it's unfortunate that's what they're called because people assume things about them. Yeah. And I know that all the books I've enjoyed reading have been young adult. I'm not a big reader, but like young adult novels, I love. I love John Green and his young adult novels. Like, he's a great writer, and I started watching him on YouTube, and then I read his books because I watched him on YouTube, and I'm like, I love his books. And his brother put out a couple books, and we've had other Twisted authors on before, and like they're just like, they're accessible and they're easy and like they're just fun. It's like going to Disney, like land or world. It's just fun. Like, you don't have to. Like, I tried to read Game of Thrones, and like I couldn't even get through like 3 chapters because I was like, there's just too many characters, and I don't know who's who, and it's just too complex. And like some of the wording in it is just very, you have to know a lot of like, a lot of words, like big words that I didn't know. And so like young adult is like, I don't have to think about it. I can just sit down and enjoy the story and not feel like I have to be like an expert, with an English degree or whatever.
Yeah. Very much there for entertainment. Accessible is a good word. Yeah. They are. Very much so.
I am actually extremely excited for your latest one, which is Bemused, because I'm not like a huge Hercules person, but I love the Muses. And so the book that's your most recent one was called Bemused, which is
the story of
the Muses.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree they are some of the best characters in a Disney movie, even though they mostly sing, but that's what makes them so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is their origin story. So I got to write the Muses as teenagers. This is before they even know that they are goddesses. They are living in a little quiet seaside town, and they have no idea that they come from the gods until their mother is kidnapped by Hades. Again,
he just gets
make an appearance.
He just gets in the way of everything, doesn't he?
Exactly. But that book was, when they approached me to write Bemused, I actually was in the middle of a contract with my other publisher, and I had 0 time. So I initially turned them down because I just thought there's no way I can write this book.
Yeah.
I remember the editor who approached me after turning her down. I could not sleep that night. And I waited until 6 a.m. because I thought, okay, if you're going to call your agent, you have to call at a decent hour, and that was 6 a.m. Eastern.
You can't call them at 3 a.m. or whatever.
Exactly. I called at what I convinced myself was a decent hour and told him, please contact them ASAP and tell them I will do anything to write this book. So thankfully, they actually pushed the date back by 6 weeks.
Wow. Yeah.
So that I could do everything I could. And I did. I didn't take any time off. I wrote 7 days a week, But I was determined to write that story because it's just so much fun and I love the muses so much. And it was so much. I think it is the most fun I've had writing a book.
Wow.
I do. And I've written quite a few, but you know, they each have such distinct personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I like about it is it was a challenge because in the movie, they're singing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really have dialogue. So as an author, I had to figure out how do I get these personalities to come across and be different. So I think it was just the fun of, you know, exercising my creative muscles and figuring out how to bring them to life. And they're just fun. Thalia is she's the youngest, you know, she's the one that's always cracking jokes. And it was just so much fun writing her and writing Hercules as well, because he's just a great villain as well. I loved writing that book. I just had the best time.
That's a good point because, right, Fate Be Changed, almost there. These are already established characters that we already know, and the audience has gotten to know a great deal of their story. So writing about them, definitely different. The muses are just they're just fun little extras. We really know nothing about them, just that they narrate what's going on in the movie, and they're super fun and good comic relief at some points. But why are they tiny? Why are they singing about Hercules? I didn't know they were sisters until just now, you know, so, and I'm sure they have names. We don't get to know what their names are even in the film. So there's so many questions as to who these ladies are. So that's what I can't even imagine the kind of research and stuff that went into that, because that really wasn't there for you to kind of build off of. You had to kind of build it yourself.
Yeah. But I also love Greek mythology. I dedicated the book to my English teacher, who she made everyone in my high school love Greek mythology. Everyone knew when it was that time of the year that, you know, with English classes were learning it, because she just made it so much fun.
Oh, that's cool.
So getting to play around with Greek mythology, and it was, again, I loved it. I really did.
So when you're writing any characters, is there any characters that you've written that you kind of try to put a little bit of yourself into? Or is that kind of like, as a writer, you kind of put a little bit of yourself into every character, maybe?
Some more than others. I do try to make sure that they all don't sound the same. But I think personality-wise, the oldest of the sisters, Imbi Muse, Calliope, and the second one, Cleo. I think Cleo is more me than anyone else because she's kind of a know-it-all. I can be that way sometimes. You know, she's the one, even when you're listening to the music, she's the one who corrects when one of the sisters says vase and she says Oz. You know, she's like, that is not the right way to pronounce that word. That, I think, encapsulates her personality, just that correction. And she is me, and I am her.
That's awesome. I just have to, I feel like it would be so difficult to write a book about the muses and not be like, well, do I write any songs for the book?
Yeah.
Do we need an album to go along with this?
Or something.
They have an audiobook for it. And I don't listen to my own work. I don't read my own books after I'm done with them. I definitely do not listen. But I want to listen to that one because I heard that the person who narrated actually does a little singing in it. And the muses do sing at a certain point, you know, they do sing. And I so want to. So since I know what's in the book, maybe I'll just skip to the chapter where they sing, because everyone says that she does a phenomenal job with the narration of it. And I just think with all of the characters, how difficult that must have been for her. And I am so intrigued. I really just want to listen.
Well, I just, as I was looking at the list, I was like, Oh, because I have a hard time finding time to like read, but I have tons of time to like listen when I'm like driving to and from work and stuff. And I was like, oh, there's an audiobook. I'll just get that. So actually, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, it's in my Audible app. It's my top thing. For those who are wondering, it's a 9-hour and 22-minute thing. So I got it on here, which I think solves one of my problems. I was just thinking, like, I keep having trouble finding podcast episodes that I want to listen to for things or whatever. And now I'm like, oh, this gives me 9.5 hours of something I can listen to.
There you go.
We've got one book and we've got 2 others that we can recommend for you to listen to next.
Every time we interview anybody about like the Twisted Tales, I'm like, oh, those would be cool to read. I should read. And then like, I don't read them.
You haven't read any of them yet?
No, I need to. But like, I think if I will listen to yours first because I really love the music. So I'll listen to that one first. And then I'll be like, I'll see if that works well for me. And then maybe I'll get the other ones. Because we have a ton of Audible credits that we haven't spent. So like, might as well do it.
Same here. And what pressure. All the Twisted Tale authors will be like, all right, Farrah, you're the one. He didn't listen to him. Sure. No, but I think you're a Disney person, so I really think you will enjoy it. Yeah. And the Twisted Tales are fun. Yeah. And think you don't have to listen to them in any order. Each book stands on its own. That's the other thing I love about that series.
I feel like you could make... I shouldn't say this. You could do like Disney's been doing with movies is like you could make like continuations of the Twisted things because like, you know, if something's different, like it can continue, you know, that's how life is. Things continue on. Yeah. So if something's super popular or something, you could make like a sequel to it of like, okay, what happens after the end of that book now that this is all different? So
I wouldn't be opposed to it. Someone from Disney listening, I would be. But yeah.
Well, you have heard us talk about our great experiences staying at the Howard Johnson Anaheim. Well, we have partnered with them to offer our listeners some cool discounts. Normally, weekly tiers can get 15% off their stay. And to take advantage of that, you go over to our website and click on the Howard Johnson logo and use the promo code. But right now, they're running a special through the end of May that if you book 3 or more nights, you get 25% off your stay. To take advantage of this, go to DLWeekly.net, look at the Howard Johnson logo, and click the link and use the promo code to get that discount.
Looks like we're coming in for a landing, gang. But please stay listening until trivia comes to a stop. And then you can walk to the nearest exit. Thanks for listening to the 8th wonder of the world, DLWeekly.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, where we are going to find out the answers to tonight's questions and see how Tag and Teresa did and how you did listening at home.
Spoiler alert, probably not very good.
Well, you know, I was just going to ask.
We're going to learn some stuff today, Tag.
So
at least 4 river names.
You sound like true. You're not feeling too confident over there.
Sometimes with the trivia questions, I feel super confident, and today was not one of those days.
Well, all right, let's see how you did.
But maybe I'll be surprised.
All right. Your first listener-submitted question from listener Nicholas E. Most people know that Disney didn't always own the Disneyland Hotel. What was the name of the family that originally made the deal with Walt to open/operate the Disneyland Hotel? Tag very confidently said the Jack Wagner family, or the Wagner Corporation.
Mine is Werther now.
Oh, now you're saying Werther? Like Werther's butterscotch candies?
I don't know. Just, yeah.
And Teresa hitched her wagon to that or jumped on that luggage cart or whatever we decided it was. And the correct answer that you were looking for was the Jack Rather family.
Oh.
With his business partner, Maria Helen Alvarez.
Jack W.
Yeah, you had Jack W. I'll give you half credit because you got the first name and the initial.
And the
And the Sure, let's grasp at those straws. Your second listener-submitted question from listener Mike S. Who is the only Disney cast member to officially attend the opening of every Disney theme park? Both of you saying that Disney cast member is Marty Sklar. The correct answer that I was looking for, as posted by D23 in the In Memoriam section, is Marty Sklar.
Good job, Teresa, for coming up with that one.
Mm-hmm. Now, this particular question, as I was looking it up, Originally, when I looked for it, immediately 2 different searches came up with Pam Flint.
Oh.
Who is the only one to attend every opening ceremony, as she was an opening day cast member at Disney World, and she's still with the company to this day. So, D23 officially recognizes Marty Sklar as the only one to have officially been at every single one. Google recognizes Pam Flint. We will go with D23.
Sure.
Is what I'm officially saying. And that particular question comes from listener Mike S., a longtime listener and fellow Wisconsinite.
Oh,
Hey.
that's exciting.
Yes. So, thank you for listening, Mike S.
Yeah.
Your third regular round question from listener Andy M. According to Dr. Fall's Jungle Rivers of Adventureland map in the queue, what rivers do you travel through in the Jungle Cruise? You said the Nile, because you're in denial, and the Amazon. The correct answers that we were looking for include the Nile, the Amazon, the Irrawaddy, the Ganges, the Congo, and the Zambezi. Or Zambezi.
You're right, because like the Zambezi Queen is one.
The
and
Congo Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a failure for forgetting the Congo. That's kind of a... That's okay.
Dang. Vern, did you know that off the top of your head as the Jungle Cruise aficionado that you are?
Top of my head, I would have gotten the Ganges Queen and the Congo Queen. And of course, Nile and Amazon. Irrawaddy and Zambezi, I would have had to really rack my brain for those two. Yeah. In fact, even as I'm sitting here staring at my computer screen, I'm like, am I pronouncing those right? I don't know.
We are, what is the Jungle Cruise thing? We're famous around the world for being world famous or something like that?
Yes.
For mispronouncing things. So, you know.
Yes, that is a specialty of ours, yes. All right, your fourth and final regular round question from listeners Carter R. and Jeffrey R. What was the first attraction to be removed from Disneyland? And in what year?
Oh, we didn't even think about the year.
They thoroughly stumped you. You didn't even hazard a guess.
No.
The correct answer that we were looking for. Removed in 1956 because they had faulty engines. The Tomorrowland boats, also known as the Phantom boats.
Yeah, we overthought that because we were going with
I said it.
Theming. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were thinking that landed
I told you it
theming.
really matters how, yeah. That is so annoying because we were both talking about it. Vern, you were probably over there going, oh, they're close.
I was just hiding my face because I didn't want you to see me grinning.
Dang it.
I'm like, just scroll Instagram and don't react. Scroll Instagram and don't react.
All right.
And your bonus question. In 1957, Imagineers Claude Coates, Fred Yeager, and Harriet Burns built a model of Rock Candy Mountain, an attraction intended for Fantasyland but never built. However, the idea for the attraction lives on because a replica of the model is displayed in the window of the store at the Disneyland Resort. In what store is this replica displayed? Very confidently answering, Trolley Treats at Disney California Adventure, Buena Vista Street specifically. The correct answer that we were looking for was Trolley Treats at Disney California Adventure. Woo!
We'll take our wins where we can get them.
Well done. Well, listeners, how do you think Tag and Teresa did? How did you do listening at home? Do you have some awesome question that you would really like to hear asked on this podcast? Well, if you've got that perfect question and you would like us to ask it someday, please send that in to dlweekly.net/trivia.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
And a special thank you to our editor, Sidel.
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal podcast companion. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this episode? My scans indicate you have been a good weekly tier. Have a lollipop. Now excuse me while I let out some air. Goodbye.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.